What's up, everybody? This is Kenny Cummins here, chilling with Kenny C, right here on tmvcafe.com, bringing you entertainment to your ears. My next guest is a hip hop artist, MC, wordsmith. He is the owner of Dope Oasis Films and Dope Oasis Music. Check out his latest single. It's called Take Your Chain. I have to say it like that because you gotta say it with feeling. Take Your
Yeah,
Chain. It's available on all the streaming platforms. I'm joined with Jamaal Matters. He's with me right now. How's it going?
pretty good, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Great to have you on, and shout out to North Carolina, man, in general, because I love the Carolina, man. I love NC. Love what y'all doing out there, man, especially on the hip hop side, mainstream and independently. It's a lot of dope MCs independently like yourself, so I'm very happy to have you on. We definitely gotta talk about the Take Your Chain joint because I play that multiple times. I'm like,
Okay, word.
yeah, that
Nice.
song goes in. That song goes in. So talk a little bit about your journey as far as you getting started into music. How did it start off for you?
Well, for me, music has always been in my life ever since I was like real young. Probably I say maybe even like 5 years old. Cause I always had other cousins that was into hip hop. I had older cousins that were DJs, things of that nature. And I would just always be in the mix of whatever they had going on. They would throw parties and different things, DJ equipment. I would be, shuffling through the records and, trying to make my own little tapes, you feel me? Type thing. So it's just like I was always fascinated with hip hop, what I'm saying? From artists like, the Ghetto Boys back in the day, UGK, music like that. For special ed, you know what I'm saying? Big Daddy Kane, you feel me? Like I came up in that era, I was a youngster, but all my cousins, like I said, they were really into it.
So I see, coming from the South, growing
Hmm.
up, listening to it, I see that, the golden era of hip hop definitely inspired you, 90s hip hop especially. Anybody that lived through the 90s hip hop era, very, very grimy, very gritty. Especially if you was listening to the East Coast. I was heavy on the East Coast. The Jays, the Nas, the Mob
Yeah,
Deep, Capone Noriegas, Mob Deep, MOP. It was new. I lived in the South for most of my life. I was heavy on the East Coast, and then I started listening to other coasts, South, West, Midwest. But I was heavily on the East Coast when I started listening to
for
rap.
sure.
Had to, had to. I couldn't play it in front of the parents for obvious reasons, you know.
Right.
But it hit me, man. Even I was just a kid, man, just listening to the wordplay, storytelling, the aggressiveness that came with it. And people may think, oh man, how could you say such a thing? Like
Right.
for back then, people was talking about things that they were actually going through, you know,
Facts.
talking about what their surroundings per se, what they seen from a younger age, so it hit different back then. So 90s in general was just lit. It was the decade, the cool decade, in my opinion. Just it was a time, you know,
Oh yeah, the golden era.
yeah, the golden
Yeah.
era. So you coming from North Carolina,
Hmm.
I think of North Carolina, obviously the Charlotte Hornets, the Larry Johnsons, Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues,
For
you
sure.
know, you know,
Yeah.
those guys, and you know the jerseys, the starter jackets, things like that. Charlotte, man, that was a time. Um, so for you, man, as an MC yourself, um, how you feeling, man? Just being the MC, how you feeling about what you bring to the table, what makes you different from everyone else. You know, it definitely feels like, for what I hear, you got some nostalgic vibe that, you know, that is definitely being resurrected in hip hop. So talk about how you feeling as an MC in general.
Well, yeah, for I mean, if you're talking about what makes me different as an MC,
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like what makes me different is just like the era that I come from and bringing that into this era, number one. But then also it's just um not only me coming from that era, but just what I bring to the table as an MC with my flow, my style coming from the South, but kind of having like a up north type of swag a little bit because I'm so influenced by, Nas, Jay, all them big. Some people say I kind of got a biggie demeanor about myself. Um, but me combining that with the South, I think that's what makes me different, combining those two. And like, coming out of North Carolina, we don't have like a lot of rappers that have my swag, like a street swag, but it's like with a up north delivery, but at the same time with that southern twang to it. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like we do have rappers like MCs, that spit in North Carolina, but just not on that particular niche that I'm bringing. You feel what I'm saying? We have like the boom bap guys, like the backpack, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? The trap. But it's just I feel like I'm kind of like in between that line of like the street rap. It's like I got a story like a J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar, like the good kid in the Mad City. Like that type of story, but a flow, that's kind of like vicious, like a Biggie or a Nas. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And
So that.
I will say, Nas in particular,
Mm-hmm.
he's there's something about him these last few years. He's putting out these projects with Hit Boy, doing all the beats. I've always felt like Nas has been a top tier MC. It's just like that's been poor wising because people be like, eh. But Nas, he's always been that dude since, you know, Illmatic. He's been that guy. It just feels like this late in his career, I feels like he's finally getting the flowers. He's getting the respect that he deserves. And I have enjoyed this one, these 4 or 5 albums he's done with Hit Boy. He even won a Grammy for King Disease, I think 102. It was one of the King Disease albums. But and it's just a reminder, it goes back to the 90s, go back to that chemistry between a hip hop artist and a producer, like a Gangstar, like a Mob
Yeah.
Deep and Alchemist. Like, you know, when those two link up, you're getting something good out of it. You're getting some special, good, really good music. And the Nas and Hit Boy, they've been on a run, and I definitely dig Magic 2, which came out last week. So Nasir Jones, salute to you, brother, man. You going in. You still
So
going.
yeah, salute to Nas. I have yet to hear the Magic too, but I'm looking forward to checking it out though for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So now take your chain.
Okay.
Let's talk about this joint, man. That's your latest single, Digging the Joint. Um, you definitely went in on this joint for sure. So talk about working on that song, man. How did you feel about working on that track? Just just break it all down, man. How did it feel just putting that song out?
Okay, so first off, to Take Your Chain, it was produced by my homie Tap, and he's also rapping on the song. So my man Tap, he's a dope MC. Like he go hard like I do. You know what I'm saying? He don't play on that mic. So basically Tap was getting back into the rapping because he's always been known as a producer first, but at the same time he wanted to display some of his MCing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's kind of how that came together. Me and him chopped it up, started, talking about things about music, And that's how it came about. He was like, I want to get back and do some rhymes. So I was like, you know what? Let's work then. Because matter of fact, I heard the beat because he had posted it on his Instagram. You know what I'm saying, in his story. So then I like took his story and put a tag on it and was like, yo, I need that beat ASAP. You know what I'm saying? So then that's when we linked or whatever. I hit him up and everything. He sent me the beat. And then I was like, why don't you get on it with me? Since you want to rhyme, that's perfect timing. You know what I'm saying? You want to rhyme, you want to do your thing. So hop on it with me. Let's go. So then we went to his people's crib, and just recorded it, recorded the record, knocked it out. And yeah, the track, that's how it came to be.
Well said. Shout out to Tap. I love that beat, man. I just follow him on Spotify. I follow
Yeah.
him on all the social media sites. So shout out to him and shout out to you. Take Your Chain, and that's yo as in white. Oh, not your chain. Take
Yeah.
Your Chain. That song is available on all the streaming platforms. So put that on repeat while you're at it too.
Yeah. Go on and stream that. Stream that. Take Your Chain, y'all.
Yeah. Check that out for sure. I see you got your own label, and Dope Oasis Music, and you also do film work as well, Dope Oasis Films.
For sure.
So talk about this brand, Dope Oasis. How did that came about?
So Dope Oasis came about probably like last summer when I got into the filming. And I was just trying to come up with a name. I'm like, yo, what should be the brand? So, me and my cousin was chopping it up about it, and I came up with Dope Oasis Films first, because my cousin is an artist. Shout out to Antimus Prime. So I started doing videos for him. And that's how I got into the videos. I did a video called Glisten that I directed and filmed for him, and it got like 42,000 views right now on YouTube. So shout out to Antimus Prime doing this thing. But yeah, so that's how I started Dope Oasis Films, is just trying to figure out a way that I could film artists and bring their vision to life. You feel me? And then it went into the music because like in 2023, see, I had stopped rapping. Like in 2022, I had like stopped rapping in 2022 and 21. And then I was like, inspired by the films. But in 23, that's when I started back into rap, like probably like January, February, top of 23. So then I was like, well, let me create Dope Oasis Music. You know what I'm saying? And that's how that came about with the music. So I was like, it is kind of like Rockefeller, how they got like Rockefeller Films, clothing, music, type of thing. And the name Dope Oasis, it actually came from just saying like this is a place where you can find that heat, those hidden gems, that you don't find everywhere else. That lost art that people are looking for. So this is like an oasis in the desert, nothing but that heat. You feel me?
Well said, man. So check it
Yeah.
out, Dope Oasis Films, Dope Oasis Music. They got music videos. They got all sorts of content that you need to keep an eye on. And they got some more work on the way, on the horizon. With that being said, you got any more music on the way? Music videos, maybe an album or some sorts. What's next for Jamaal Matters?
Oh yeah, for sure. Me and my producer Art working. ART, shout out to Art. You know what I'm saying? We've been working since the top of 23 and we've been dropping singles every single month. This in July we dropped two singles. We dropped the Take Your Chain and then I had the convertible top. You feel me? So we're gonna continue to drop singles throughout the whole year, all the way through December. So be on the lookout for August. I got my single Heaven Knows. It's gonna be dropping on August the 7th. So make sure y'all cop that. Heaven Knows. It's gonna be crazy. It's on some boom bap, straight up hit nostalgic hip hop. You feel me? It's gonna be featuring this artist named Optimus Farmer. She a female MC. She go hard. She gonna be on it. So it's gonna be crazy, man. We just gonna keep bringing that heat every single month. throughout the whole year. And as far as an album or whatever, I may come out with an album later. But right now, I'm just trying to build anticipation through the singles because it's working well for me. Like people are excited to hear what's next. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna keep that going, and then eventually, probably sometimes in 23, drop an album. But I want to get like a certain amount of followers, like at least 1,000 before I drop an album because I want to demand, like a real demand. You feel me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly understandable. And I feel like that's what most artists are kind of doing as far as trying to get the music out, starting off with the singles, get the feel for it, the listeners' reaction, things like that. And and you doing one or two singles a month, definitely a solution, definitely the way to go. And I've heard more of your songs after Take Your Chain. I've heard some of the earlier joints. You definitely got something cooking, man. Got something cooking in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
shout out to Grady. I want to give him a shout out. He's originally from North Carolina. He lived in Kentucky, and he's a talented MC as well. I've heard of your music through him. So shout out to Grady.
Grady. Oh yeah, Grady. That's my man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Shout out Grady. Yeah.
yeah, Mr.
Dope MC.
Yeah, Mr. Already. I like to call him. I like to call him Mr. Already. So shout
Yeah.
out to him. So my last question for you is this: hip hop is turning 50 years old next month. So I've been asking a lot of artists of their thoughts on this milestone and what it means to them as a fan and as a musician or a producer. And obviously, hip hop has come a long way. A lot of people didn't think it was going to last. And
Yeah.
yet, here we are 50 years later, and it's reaching this milestone, obviously. And it's become one of the most popular genres in the world. Like everywhere you go, you hear some hip hop inspired or influence, commercials, you know, anything, any form of entertainment. There's some hip hop resemblance out there.
For sure.
Rather, so I ask you this as a fan and as an artist yourself. Um, what does this 50-year anniversary means to you as far as being a fan and an artist? How you feeling about hip hop turning 50 years old in a couple weeks?
Yeah. I mean, for me, hip hop turning 50 is a beautiful thing, man, because I'm hip hop all day. I like to call myself a hip hop historian damn near, just because like I'm so ingrained in it and I love it so much. It's like I live and breathe hip hop every day. You know what I'm saying? So to me, with it lasting for 50 years, just knowing that they said it wouldn't last, and it to be not only that it lasts 50 years, but like you said, it's just so ingrained in the culture and everything that we see every day, that we consume. Um, I think it's a beautiful thing, man. I think it's a great milestone, and I'm looking forward to what it's going to continue to be because I see the underground is still thriving. Like even though the underground may not be in the light, like the mainstream, but it's never went anywhere. Like it's still thriving. Like with cats like Griselda, real MCs coming up, and God, like those guys inspire guys like myself, like 38 Special, Graph, just different MCs that been in the game for a minute, underground. So I just think hip hop is gonna continue to thrive. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. I love it.
So for me, just being a fan in general, just being that representation for people of color,
Mm-hmm.
because I listen to all sorts of music, but hip hop is the one where you get the representation really goes in. You really see people, different walks of life. Now it's like everybody engage into hip hop now. and companies, businesses, communities, um, just getting on board with it with the artists and the music in general. Um, Hip hop has definitely come a long way. Like I've listened to it since the '90s, and then I
Mm-hmm.
started listening to the old stuff later in life. Hip hop is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and even mainstream artists, mainstream people in hip hop, they're gonna get most of the recognition. But as far as the underground cats, independent cats, they deserve their props for their contributions for hip hop, for just showing that it's more than just mainstream. It's underground. It came from you know the dirty crates. It came from
Yeah.
the DJs. It came
Mm-hmm.
from the boombox, the break dance, and the clothing, the chains. Hip hop played a factor into all of that, and especially on the underground when you just freestyling back and forth with your homies.
You know,
So
yeah,
yeah,
the essence of it.
yeah,
You know, I I kind of look at it like the stock market. Like, you had different stocks that were like up and down, up and down.
yeah,
But I feel like with the underground, it's always just stayed like straight across. Like it, you know what I mean? Like it just stayed and lasted the test of time, you know?
yeah. And what made me compelled to do being a podcaster is that I want to interview independent artists like you
Mhm.
and Grady and many others, especially on the hip hop. There's a lot of talented artists out there that start getting their music heard. So I feel like, man, I feel like I have an obligation to spread the word on independent, unsigned artists. Maybe I can be a help. It may not be, Charlemagne the God or DJ Envy or anything like that, but at least I could do is just say, hey, I got these artists on the show. You should check them out, give them a listen. Who knows? You might end up liking their music and follow them on the social media sites. So you're gonna get that Kentucky love from North Carolina. We appreciate Grady and for what he done for the scene. He's a talent. He's a genuine, good dude, very humble dude, and so props to him, props to everybody in North Carolina, props to y'all, man. Y'all are a dope state. You know, y'all gave us J. Cole. Y'all gave us Dreamville. Okay, y'all gave us P.D. Pablo. You gave us, you contributed to hip hop. So and Boss and everybody, man, just dope. I think Rhapsody's from North Carolina too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
She from
Rhapsody.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So shout out to her too. Jamaal, great chatting with you, man, on the show this evening. Appreciate you. Great to have this conversation. And I look forward to hearing more music from you for the remainder of the year moving forward, man. I appreciate your time.
Yo, brother, appreciate you having me, man. Very, very humbled to have to speak to you today, man. I appreciate you for sure.
Absolutely, man. Props to you and Dope Oasis Music and Dope Oasis Films, man, for what y'all doing independently, truly rapping for the culture. So
Mhm.
appreciate that. You have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks again, man.
All right, then, Kenny, man. Appreciate you, man. Again, peace, brother. Peace.
All right, you have a good night.
All right, good night.
All right.